colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? I am so much happy to host you here, all. So we will be starting soon. So please take your coffee or your water, take your place. We have so many best possible places here, and they are all free. So take your time, grab your best possible place, and let's go with that beautiful day that we had yesterday. Last time we had not very beautiful weather. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, also on the back, I want to invite you, everybody, to the front. So we will be able to start. I hope that this Saturday morning wasn't hard for all of you, because today will be the best day of the whole week, and of course the benchmark for the next year. Okay, so thank you very much for your attention. We will be here whole day, so you will all have a time to network, know each other a little bit more. So, my name is Filip Pawczyński. I'm the co-founder of Degen House, but I'm also the chairman of Polish Bitcoin Association, vice chairman of Polish Chamber and New Technology Chamber of Commerce, and I am also in many different ventures from last 10 years on the market. So I am very happy to host you here. This is the second Degen Meetup in this year, but not the last. So I hope this is not our first time and not our last time, for sure. So maybe we will start from the standard. We will tell you a little bit more about the Degen. Who know what the Degen is? Don't be shy. Most of us are Degen here's. Okay. So, yeah, Degen is the decentralized generation. But in general, it's a person. It's most of us here. I hope all of you. So it's a person who is enthusiastic about innovation with a deep conviction that modern technology can foster positive global transformation. So we are all not very, maybe normal for somebody, but very positive for the technology, for our future. So we are builders, and we are looking to ways to craft unique ventures using cutting-edge technologies. And of course, we believe in something more than only technology. We also believe in community. We also believe in us. We have many beliefs in the people inside, because the people are most crucial for us. But of course, we are also don't really trust to the traditional model of data. We prefer distributed systems, distributed models. Of course, we start from the Bitcoin. Right now, we have many different opportunities to use disruptive technology in many different ways. So, Degen, it's a hacker in the Internet of Money. This is the, maybe not the simple, but one of the most positive meaning of the Degen. So, and what is the Degen House? Of course, it's a house of Degens. So it's a house for everybody of us. So we are also the fast-growing community of builders, developers, entrepreneurs, and of course we are all experienced in the fields of digital asset, disruptive technology, blockchain, hacking, AI, ML, and of course ICT. So we are here to craft the Degen culture and utilize the technological cultural revolution that we are all together combined. So, Degen House is not only building a community, we're also assessing the creation and the growth of the projects and modern technologies. So Degen House is a place when culture meets technology and ideas turn into a more engaged reality. And we are all living in that reality. So what we are able to deliver, we have, of course, the software development, because we are based on the development side. We can also provide the business consulting, and of course, we are building community, and one of our tools to building the community are the tech events. So I hope you will enjoy this event and all of our next events that we will be hosting this year and of course in the future. So Degen Meetups, it's a series. Yeah, it's a second meetup from the series. We still don't know how many will be that meetups, but we know that we don't want to set any number right now. So we are combining inspiring lectures, hackathons, and lifestyle opportunities to create a true revolutionary culture movement, because this is the movement. It's not only a technology, it's not only us, it's a movement. So we are able to be a part of this movement. Today, agenda will be a little bit more, not that stick to the time, because we will have four different workshops. Yeah, and this slide is old one, so I will not tell you about that. But we will have 4 different workshops with, of course, our partners. And we start today from a couple words of our main partner, PKO Bank Polski. So please welcome with the warm applause Łukasz Wiśniewski, who is responsible for a blockchain thing in the PKO Bank Polski. Warm applause.
Thank you, Filip. So you probably a bit know PKO Bank Polski, but I will provide you some general information. We are the biggest bank in this part of Europe. We are also the oldest bank in Poland. And we experiment with blockchain technology and AI, of course, but mainly we do business, yes? So this is small scale of experiments, but we have a special role in our economy because we are partially owned by a state. That's why we try to support the digital transformation of our economy. We support projects from Ministry of Finance, Ministry of Digital Affairs. We just provide a scale to implement digital signatures, digital ID in Poland. And it is like big picture of our bank. We're supposed to do some things which are not only business issues. And we do also do smaller steps to support local communities of innovators, of entrepreneurs. And that's why we support Degen House. This is our building. We share that building for free with them. I know Filip from many years. He has been devoted to support local communities to grow, to fight scams, to work in working groups at the Ministry of Digital Affairs. So great work. I'm really happy to have you here, guys. So I strongly recommend you to follow them and to support them. And for today, I just wish you to have a good meetup, interesting and inspiring talks, and a good networking after. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Łukasz. Of course, if anybody of you have some question to Łukasz, you can catch him also later on the networking. But of course, please be steady, because how Łukasz said, it's not like we are able to do anything right now with the bank, but we are in progress. So right now we will go for the workshops. Our first workshop will be very, very interesting, because the topic is in general interesting, and of course it's also a topic that was chosen especially for the institution-wise information that we had right now. So I want to ask my dear colleague Dorota Zabłocka, and warm applause for her. She will be talking, warm applause, yes. She will be talking about DAO, so this is a very important topic right now.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. I hope you're all waking up. If not, you can grab a coffee. I'm a lawyer and I'm going to talk about legal stuff, but from the practical point of view, so I hope you will stay awakened and you will enjoy this discussion. My topic of today is DAO, ghost entity or a new business model. So let me start with a short introduction and then we will go deeply to the topic of DAO. So a few words about Three Dots, the company I represent. As I've been presented, Dorota Zabłocka, and I am managing partner of Three Dots. We are a law firm that is focused mainly on new technology and also a regulatory compliance advisory for technological companies or companies who are looking for their path in the new technology sector. We are working not only with Polish projects, our clients are from different parts of the world, and what we are doing, we're trying to help them, first of all, to find themselves in this regulatory environment, and understand what they are, some risk or liabilities resulting from their activity, and then to navigate their activity in this complex regulatory framework. Going, of course, through the licensing procedure and setting up the whole business structure, domestic or patchwork, so in different jurisdictions. Okay, so we are going to talk about DAO. I would like to know who I am talking to. So please raise your hands, those who know what DAO is. Whoa. Great majority, great. There are a few people maybe who are not very informed about what DAO is in real. So let me explain DAO from its definition. It's decentralized autonomous organization. So it's a group of people, decentralized, so from different jurisdictions, from different sectors, gathered digitally, through through holding given kind of tokens or participating or contributing to given project. And also through this token, they have a possibility to decide on different elements like distribution of funds or, for example, investment subject or maybe scaling up to different sector. I will explain how it works in a minute. Few words about main characteristics of DAO. Fundamentals of blockchain technology as such is decentralization. Decentralization means mostly that there is no central governing authority or body because the decision-making process is given to the participants of given chain or given network. Yeah, so there is no so-called trusted third party, big institution or governing body who is deciding on some given rules, but the users are deciding on the rules of this game. So this is decentralization. Decentralization also means that as a user, I can participate in almost every project I want from the whole world because I have this access to blockchain, different blockchains, and I can participate in a project. As a project, decentralization for me means that I have access to more users that I have doing the same business in traditional way. Yeah, because I am communicating in different way, I am most accessible, and so on. When it comes to another characteristic, code is the law. It means that in traditional organizations, there are given rules set up by this third party. There is some traditional documents saying what we can or what we cannot do. When it comes to DAO, of course, there is a set of rules for the participants of DAO, but they are additionally encoded. It means that we have smart contracts, autonomous software agents, who have given functions, and once they are deployed, they will make sure that those rules will be exercised. The third characteristic is transparency. transparency also results from the nature of blockchain itself, because all transactions are trackable and visible on chain. We have register of elections. So once I join given community, I join given organization, I see all past transaction made through token, and also I can see all transactions, all decisions to be made in future via voting for tokens. And talking about voting tokens, main characteristic of DAO is that we have decision-making process through voting, and I can vote if I am a holder of given token. So in all Web3 projects, we have tokenomics. So the founders decide what token would be issued, what rights will be connected with given token, whether there will be also payment tokens like native cryptocurrency of ATH, Bitcoin, and so on, or additionally, maybe there will be a voucher in the form of, I don't know, NFT or any other utility token. But those tokens in DAO, they have additional right, governing right. So once I am a holder or given token, or given kind of token or given numbers of token, I am entitled to participate in the decision-making process. So looking at those characteristics, there is a question whether DAO is a real entity, because it sounds a bit like a company, because we see those procedures in different entities, not only those decentralized. And of course, as a lawyer, I could not go through the presentation without telling you some legal stuff. So let's see how it looks from the regulatory point of view. Being in this new tech business, we are pretty familiar with this approach that first we have business, we have some business relationship related with new technology, and then the regulators, they are waking up, whoa, we need to regulate it. And usually the law is much more behind the real business. And sometimes it happens that the bill that has been prepared by commissions in a given country for the past 5 years, once it is established, published, it's not fitting in the business. So we have different approaches also when it comes to DAO. For example, in the US, there are actually now 2 states where DAO are regulated. It's Utah and Wyoming, where DAO are treated as a LLC companies. It is called DAO LLC. It means that we need to register this entity, we need to register the kind of representative body, we need to also indicate members of DAO, and we have the same rights as a LLC company, but also we have the same liabilities. It doesn't fit to DAO definition, right? It doesn't feel like decentralization and decision-making process for tokens, nothing like that. So we have another approach. Let's look at the Cayman Island. The middle picture is Cayman Island. And we also can call it halfway in between of United States and most of jurisdictions where there is no law touching DAO as an entity. Cayman Island, they have a bill on virtual asset service providers, and there are some provisions in this legal bill saying that DAO might be treated as a foundation. And what's interesting here, that we are only indicating like the supervisory person, representative of this foundation, but then all other members of DAO can be anonymous. So the regulator doesn't want to know who is the member of DAO. And also as a foundation, this entity can benefit the same way as most foundation in most jurisdictions from some tax exemptions, for example, when it comes to donation. Of course, we cannot put one-to-one to foundations as we understand it from the continental law point of view, but it's kind of similar. And then the rest of the world, we have no legal bills, no regulation when it comes to DAO. But of course, as it is in Web3 world, we have more crypto-friendly jurisdiction and a little bit less crypto-friendly jurisdictions. One of the most crypto-friendly jurisdiction is Estonia, and here we have very interesting approach when it comes to regulator, because regulator says that if there is a autonomous, decentralized organization, I will explain why it's so important to understand it must be decentralized, then if this kind of entity provide given kind of services that would normally be regulated with license, because it's decentralized, so it has no legal, it's not legal entity from the legal definition, it cannot apply for license, but still can provide services. But the key element here, it must be fully decentralized. And talking to our clients, talking about DAO usually is, yeah, it's going to be decentralized. I will issue some governing tokens, but I will distribute it within my team. It must be decentralized. So it must be decentralized in the meaning there is a real community, a community is contributing, there is no 5 person or 5 wallets being in the community. It must be bigger number of people, and what is also very important here, it must be, it cannot be any kind of direct connection with any other third entity. So obviously DAO can decide of its legal situation, so DAO can order some IT works from software house from US, but it cannot be direct connection between those two entities. I will tell about this operational structure in a minute. And because this is very interesting how it can operate. So from our practice, when we are working with DAOs, there are 3 main steps. First step is to build a community. DAO shall start from the community. So they might be a project, like a Web3 game, DeFi protocol, whatever, but it is important that it must be a community of people who want to contribute, they're interested in development of this and support for this project, and they are communicating through different social channels, like Telegram, Signal, Discord, you name it. Community needs to decide themselves that they would like to contact the protocol, for example, or software house in order to build this project in real life. What happens next? So they're communicating, so they need to set up some first rules who will represent the DAO before the software house or any other third entity. They need to decide whether Discord will be the official channel for the communication, if there will be some entry requirements for people who will join later on. So this is something they need to decide on the first place. We have another level, which is contribution. Then they decide how they will vote. They will vote that with tokens. Who can acquire token? Is it going to be contribution, so only software developers can join this DAO, or we will issue a token and you can purchase this token on DEX, for example, and then you become member of DAO. They need to decide. So then we have a contribution, or we have sell of our governance token. Then, very good practice. It's not very common yet, but it's a good practice to write down so-called the DAO constitution. So we decide as a DAO on given rules how we will be operating. Who will be our representatives, whether it's for one-time action or for a given period of time. Everything is written down in the constitution. Constitution then might be saved in PDF, it might be hashed, kept on blockchain. You can use both. Then, as I said, we have a representative because DAO, as a numerous group of wallets, they cannot altogether approach, for example, given foundation or software house. So they need a representative or representatives. It's also very important because they usually keep some funds and they keep it on wallet. So, for example, they are using multisig. So those representatives usually also sign transactions in multisig. And this representative also need to find so-called DAO wrapper / legal wrapper. And this legal / DAO wrapper is a third entity who is indeed a legal entity and usually is a foundation who is helping DAO to operate in this traditional real life. How it works? Please imagine a car without 4 wheels. And even if the engine is perfectly okay, we have the steering wheel and the car basically is fine, but it has no 4 wheels, it cannot move forward. So the same with DAO, it's the same car without wheels. They need somebody, this legal DAO wrapper, who will help the DAO move. So actually to exercise decision made by the community. And this is just an example how it can looks in real life. So we have DAO here. They make some decisions. They are making voting, and they ask this representative to contact first, to approach, for example, software house or third institution, because what's really sometimes happens that legal wrapper asks national regulator to issue decision whether this activity to be provided by DAO will be legally compliant. It happens. So the representatives approach first software house, hey, I would like you to prepare me smart contracts, or I would like you to audit my smart contracts. Then, so they are agreeing some timelines, schedule, prices, and so on. Then the representative contacts legal wrapper, DAO wrapper, for example, foundation. Hey, we already found software house, we voted the price, schedule, and we accept the software house, please sign the agreement. And then this agreement is signed between the legal wrapper and software house. But the payment and the whole product, it's sent directly between DAO and the service provider. Of course, it's not that simple because this contract needs to explain the whole structure where there is a legal wrapper foundation signing contracts with third party and so on. But this is one of the ways how it can looks like, and usually it looks like this. Those are some basic informations, and I'm curious about your thoughts. So I would like you to ask me questions or to maybe share your thoughts about what do you think DAO is, or whether it may become a new operating model, business model in future.
Thank you for the very fascinating presentation. My name is Chris, and I would like to ask a question. How trustful is the position of a DAO representative? Is this the weak point of a structure, or how does DAO make sure that their representatives actually represent them?
Sure, thank you, Chris. So it's all about decisions to be made by DAO. So for example, sometimes there is a question, who would like to be a representative of DAO? And there are few people, nicknames on channels saying, hey, I would like to be representative. And then we are preparing questionnaires with questions, and DAO decides on who is going to be the representative of DAO. And of course, it might be weak point, but at the end of the day, it was decided by DAO, nobody else. There was no third party who decided who's going to be the representative. It was DAO itself.
Thanks. So you mentioned decentralization as one of the key requirements that some jurisdictions require of the DAOs to be recognized as a legal entity. And I was wondering, how do they enforce that, and what are the numbers there? Well, if there are any numbers, as in like what constitutes a sufficient decentralization for a DAO, and like kind of a bonus to that question, do they try to prevent from Sybil attacks in any way whatsoever, right? Because like I could say my project is decentralized. Like, look, there's 1,000 wallets holding collectively only 20% of the supply, but like all of them are practically mine. I hold the private keys, right? Like, what's stopping me from doing that, or any operator? Yeah, and the question is, what do the authorities do with that? Do they prevent from it in any way? Yeah, how does that work on that side?
I am talking about something really new, so I have never heard about any administrative procedure or court procedure against any DAO project. What we have are guidelines, which are changing pretty fast. And I would ask you how you would prove me as a national regulator that your project is decentralized. It's like in civil procedure. It's word of one party and word another party. So, of course, given jurisdictions like in Poland, I could imagine that our national regulators would not understand really well in details how decentralization works, wallets, mixers, and so on. Maybe in Estonia, Malta, where blockchain is implemented also by given ministries, for example, they would understand it better. But the question is that you will have question, show me, prove me that your project is decentralized, that those wallets who keep most of governance tokens are not yours. So you have to prepare yourself. I'm as a lawyer, I do not advise how to, hide those tokens to not be recognizable as tokens that are team tokens. But in fact, it's always a matter how you would prove that it's decentralized, fully decentralized. That the great majority of projects are distributed within many different wallets. Number one. Secondly, Polish question whether chicken or egg, who was the first? So here, community or project? First, it was a project of given named company who are developing gambling game, Web3 game, or the community who were, oh, wow, we like gambling, gaming projects. Let's look for something interesting. Wow, there is XYZ project. So you need to have a big picture, and just me as a regulator looking at this big picture and all elements, I need to see decentralization. If you prove me that it's decentralized because you are proving that there was a community, then on the other part of the world there was a team building some solution, then the community were discussing this project for the 3 months, then they contact this project from the US. Everything depends on how you would prove me that it's not you, that it's not connected to you, that you are not the ultimate beneficiary of the whole structure.
DAO are, if DAO are based on smart contracts, then it means they are based on certain blockchains. What are the main blockchains for DAO, perhaps other than Ethereum, obviously?
DAO can be created in any blockchain. DAO can be created in any blockchain. So it's it's a matter of people who are interested in given project or given ecosystem, and they are focusing on technology built on this given ecosystem. So it doesn't matter.
Hello, my name is Konrad. I have 2 questions. One question is, who can be representative of DAO? It need always be one person, or can be the group of persons?
It's a member of DAO. Of course, it's more known than the other members of DAO because usually, they use Telegram, Signal, where you have your nickname. You don't have to share all information, but you share some kind of information. So usually DAOs are limiting numbers of people who are contacting those third parties because they want to stay anonymous mostly. But usually it's connected with the payment flows. So if you are using multi-sig, usually people who can sign transactions are those who are also not legal, representatives of DAO, because legal wrapper, DAO wrapper, is a registered entity, company or foundation. So this representative, who is not legal wrapper, it's a member of DAO.
Okay, second question is about taxes. The DAO need to pay some taxes and, for example, the insurance for the workers.
And this is a very good question, because sometimes our clients or people who are working closely with DAO, they would like to remain anonymous, but they would like pay taxes. And, you know, every single jurisdiction has its limitation who can pay taxes, because, for example, in Poland, you can pay 100 zloty taxes on my behalf from your bank account. And here, usually, DAO as a not entity, but creation, without not being legal entity, at the beginning cannot pay taxes. And because it's decentralized, which jurisdiction, which tax residency shall apply. Then you have also more complex taxes. You have VHTs, CAT taxes, VAT, and sometimes it may happen that you pay one kind of income tax to one jurisdiction, VAT you pay to other because you pass some threshold to another jurisdiction. So usually DAO, even if they want to pay taxes, they don't, because there is no way at that moment. Maybe in half year we will have different legal situation when we have some guidelines, because now at the moment there are so they cannot pay taxes. They cannot apply for license.
So only the members pay taxes, DAO
they
organization should. Not
yeah,
pay.
They should, because also sometimes DAO is also perceived as a partnership. You know, in law we have corporations and we have partnerships. Partnerships where partners are together doing some business. And sometimes in some jurisdictions there are voices that DAO might be treated as a partnership. So each members of DAO could be treated as entrepreneurs, and they shall pay taxes as the sole entrepreneur in their country, according to their tax residency.
Okay, thank you.
Have you analyzed or wonder how far we are in Poland from possibility of creating DAO? I mean, what is missing the most from the legal point of view, of course?
We have good basis for DAO as any other jurisdiction with complex law when it comes to legal relationships, because DAO itself as a decentralized creation, it will never be Polish entity. So at the moment we can say that there is only a matter of eventually paying taxes by members of DAO. In Poland we have pretty clear tax framework for paying taxes when you keep cryptocurrencies or you exchange it to fiat. So it's good for us as a Poland, because not every country has a clear tax regime. But when it comes to DAO itself, it's decentralized. There is no one jurisdiction that would apply. It's more matter of this legal DAO wrapper, yeah, where it's located. If it's going to be located in Poland, then our regulators, KNF or others, then they would have a way to check whether this DAO is fully decentralized, or it shall apply, if they shall apply our Polish regulation to this creation, and in fact it is partnership, not a creation, that it's not a legal entity.
Yeah, I was thinking about like voting. Is the voting definition right to create a DAO e-voting?
There is no legal regulation when it comes to these steps I have presented. It's most for our practice. When we are working with national regulators, or we are working with our partners in different countries, this is what we worked out, that it's the easiest way to do it in transparent way, that you have everything written down, you have questionnaires, you have real voting procedures, then you have also proof on blockchain, because we have hashed of these questionnaires. But looking from the legal point of view, there is no legal definition, no legal guidelines. It's just a practice.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, I'm Konrad, and you've mentioned that DAO starts from community, and then they establish their roles in smart. Okay, and then DAO community establish their roles in smart contracts on chain. And the question is how a community with no legal structure can finance the development of their initial smart contract.
Usually members of DAO, they are developers, so they contribute themselves by building smart contracts reflecting those rules set up firstly off-chain.
Okay, so if the initial communities are developers, why shouldn't they start a normal company?
Because of the same way why we want to keep decentralization in order to centralize Web3 projects. It's just idea. They want to keep decentralization and they don't want to become traditional business.
Okay, thanks.
So, do we have some more questions?
Okay, so if not, next week we are starting our socials and we will be sharing this kind of practical knowledge. You can follow us on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, or X. Advertisement. So also if you have any additional questions, we are staying here together with my partner Alexandra. She's in white dress. Yeah, there. So yeah, feel free to approach us. Thank you very much for having us. Have a great
Warm
day.
applause. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so the first presentation was very, very nice, and you had so many questions, so this topic is really up to you all. And of course, this is also some kind of way of our future, so I'm totally aware. So our next, we will have right now the next workshop, and after that workshop we will have a little bit longer time for networking. So if you want to grab some kind of things to drink, you have a perfect time right now. But our next person who will also talk about the very nice topic. He's a. It's like, I'm sorry about that. Okay, so our next speech will be with Mr. Adam Zasada from 0x KYC. And it will be very, very also nice topic because after the DAO, we will also need to remember about our ID. So please, with the warm applause, welcome Mr. Adam Zasada.
Hello, hello. It's a very great honor to present in front of you in this historical building where my great-grandfather or grandfather actually witnessed the explosion of it many years ago when he was in Dome Centrum. I finished the secondary school on this street and I lived in that building for 2 months this year. And we have established a great company over a year ago now with the team in the back row. And with more people who are here who are supporting us along the way, who I've met in trains, conferences, sidewalks. And here is the history of 0x KYC. Who are we very quickly so you know what I'm talking about? We are providing a service where a user can access a game, vote in a DAO, or do really anything else on the basis of their face. Your face is your wallet, and we turn your facial biometrics into a string of letters and characters. In that way, we can tell if you're a different person across different wallets. So wallet 1 is 123, and wallet 2, we know it's the same person without knowing their name. So you only show your face. I hope that's clear. Here's our team. MG I met in Bali. Dylan is my co-founder. And the team is actually wider. I don't know why I skipped this slide, but Alicia, Seba, let's go. Okay, so our target audience, this is just a brief intro so you know what we're doing. Our Web3 games, just because it's such a nascent market and so many people are joining right now, there's 1 million people already playing every day. And there's gonna be 10, 100 million in the future. We also created the first permissionless way to, maybe not the first, but the first that's actually going to be working with Kurt Financial. A way to use private DeFi trade and yields farming without running the risk of mixing funds with sanctioned individuals. That's already live too. Oh, and there's the wider team, great. I didn't forget about it. Lindsay just survived that hurricane in Florida, and the rest of the team. Okay, so here's my presentation. We started a year ago and a day ago, so we just had our first birthday on the 1st of September 2022 at E4So Hackathon, where me and Dylan met through Discord. And that's going full circle because right now we're building a Discord bot to also verify uniqueness of people. So it was the 3 of us, actually there was 5 of us in the hackathon. And what I want to talk about is our journey, but also I think you can maybe take some lessons from it of what we did and how it went down in like a real corporate setting from very humble beginnings. So there was 5 of us in the hackathon, and we were planning to basically work on this as a side project after the hackathon. We only won $200 worth of bounties. And very quickly after, we got reached out to by Outlier Ventures, which does not happen often that a VC reaches out to you if they can invest. That was a moment when we had to decide who's incorporating the business, so to speak. And the 3 of us, Philip, Dylan, and myself, Philip is the CTO of Copernic Space, we decided to open a US C Corp, which basically took us a couple of months because from the time we signed the contract with Outlier, which is around, this is incorporation date, end of October we signed the contract, and 10th of January was our demo day for Outlier Ventures Accelerator. By then we already started raising our first round, but by then we also didn't yet even have our employer insurance number, employer identification number in the US, meaning we didn't even have a bank account, and we were just bootstrapping everything. I was working full-time on this already since March, and actually from September when we started this project. Dylan was also quitting his job, so we were kind of taking a leap of faith, raising a second round without even having raised the first one, really, because we didn't have a bank account. From there, we started raising more funds. I flew to Bali where I met MG, who's not here with us right now. And he actually moved to Warsaw afterwards and lived here for 2 months. We gathered a greater team with Damian and Kamil. And we raised first tickets from investors and had a lot of calls on the fax machine with the IRS, because that's how it works currently still. It's crazy. If you have any questions how to do this, let me know. I know. Okay. And funnily enough, we raised our first price ticket on 420 at $6.9 million valuation. From Celestia CTO and from Bart, who's also here. Shout out to Bart. And things kind of started working out from there. We implemented our first client, Insert Stonks. Cheers to them. We got also a win in the Bufficorn Ventures Accelerator in ETH Denver, so we are now officially Bufficorns. You can often see Vitalik wear a Bufficorn costume himself, so that's now us. We're the OG crew of ETH Denver. Partnered with Scroll. We won the DAO Global Hackathon for 1 user, 1 vote. Participated in Spaghetti Napoli conference also as a team. And currently, we're here a year later at the Degen Meetup, which is a very historical moment for me, and I'm very happy to be here. We participated in E4, so also started a new brand called Sunscreen, partnered with the world's biggest identity verification company on Fido, started collaborating with Polygon ID to be an issuer for them for device fingerprinting and user information, created the first possibility to trade without running the risk of mixing your funds with sanctioned individuals via Hinkle protocol. There are many more collaborations, and this is where we are here today. And this is really what I want to say. This is where our journey starts. So we're currently here in Warsaw, finally in person, because we were working fully remote. And I also wanted from here to invite you to ETH Milan. If you want to join, I can get you tickets to there. We'll be there too. And the most important part for me is painting the vision and also taking questions from you, because we'll be going also to ETH Denver conference, and then we'll be doing the activation for users. So if you go to ETH Denver, you'll be able to verify yourself as a unique human to get priority tickets. What I wanted to say here is really that nobody would, every step of the way, you know, there's nothing major that happens. There are these small wins. You jump through small obstacles. We've had over 100 pitches by now, talked with major VCs, were rejected by Sequoia twice, rejected by other VCs, sometimes once, sometimes twice, sometimes accepted, very rarely. But the big lesson here is I always take it as take the road less traveled and really believe in yourself, and also show other people what you really see in the future. And I hope in a couple of years we can celebrate it with what is our goal as a company, as an American startup under the US regulator, creating the future of anti-money laundering and payments, where finally with our solution you're able to trade privately while at the same time not run the risk of mixing funds or touching sanctioned funds, which is a necessity for Web3. Because if you really think about it, how technology works, what is Visa and MasterCard, what are they doing as private payment networks, what is SWIFT, SEPA, then you really have to know that if the future is on-chain, there needs to be an anti-money laundering layer, because otherwise this is never going to be adopted by any governments. What is the way to do this? Obviously, this is not to KYC everybody in DeFi. First of all, because it's impossible. Second of all, because it makes no sense. So we've struck a line, and we are currently working on making this a reality. And we're planning to go public on NASDAQ very soon. So I hope you can join us on this journey. And we are actually currently hiring a backend engineer. I think that position will be filled already, and a product designer. And I'm very happy to take some questions, as well as I invite you to join our Discord. Yep. Oh, and here's still a couple more slides how it actually works, so you don't forget what we're doing. Verification of uniqueness, mobile and desktop. Thank you very much.
Hello. I want to ask if this process of turning your face into a UUID is reversible, meaning also if it is possible to identify from the UUID of someone who that person is in real life, and for example, sanction them, control them, take their funds, freeze their funds, and all of the things governments like to do. Thank you.
Sure, great question. So I guess this is kind of two questions at the same time, because we have two products and they relate to two products. One is the face, where we actually don't even know if you're sanctioned, just on the basis of your face. The other one is with the wallet. So starting with, can you go back to the person from the UUID? Can you go back from the string? No, it's impossible. Currently, we have a centralized database of those faces, and you can ask us to delete this data in accordance with GDPR and CCPA as well as Biometrics Act, and we delete it, and then your uniqueness is no longer confirmed. The only thing you can get from this data is if you have two wallets, or you have a Discord with the same number, we also work via API, then you know this is the same UUID, but you have no idea about the user. It is possible, and it is in our roadmap, to actually not store the pictures in the future, rather to store a 3D vector of the face, which would be more privacy preserving, and this is the maximal solution that's possible currently. This is on our roadmap quite soon, and we're fundraising for this. But essentially, it still boils down to some data being stored, and actually, this is the same way that WorldCoin stores their 3D iris vectors. However, in their case, it's in a closed loop system, when in our case it's more open and public. Regarding the sanctions verification, obviously with non-custodial wallets, there is no way for anyone to freeze your funds. However, as a sanctioned individual in the future world, some payment networks could be sanctioned. You could imagine a network of account abstracted wallets which only operate within non-sanctioned sector, which I think actually will happen. Maybe not in a way of account extraction, but the banking system has inputs and outputs. PKO Bank Polski, where we currently are, is the biggest Polish bank. And they verify users physically and digitally for anti-money laundering every day. And everybody transaction in the payments network is actually verified. Sometimes better, sometimes worse. There's a bank in Skierniewice very famous for not doing this properly, for those in the know. But in general, there is some kind of entry and exit points. So we're creating the entry and exit points, and somebody could sanction the network, but you would still have your funds in your wallet, which means you could send it wherever you want because it's non-custodial. I hope it answers the question. Okay, we got it.
Yeah, I got the one.
Any questions, go, guys.
So,
hi, is your mission statement somehow aligned with WorldCoin?
I think not. I think we are serving a completely different purpose. We are solving a problem for Web3 games, Discord servers. So you do a giveaway, people farm the giveaways. You do an airdrop, people farm the airdrops. We're solving that problem. We're selling a simple service. One user, you pay $1 per check. And WorldCoin has no commercial value. At least they don't want to present it. They are rather trying to create a global currency, which I love people working at WorldCoin, which in my eyes, what WorldCoin is trying to build is trying to build a payments network that will work in a times of crisis for people in distressed countries who have no access to other forms of digital communication or payments, which could be very beneficial in a situation of a humanitarian crisis, as well as they're creating a coin which a value accrues from the sheer amount of users they are quote-unquote scanning. And while I don't think there is nothing in particularly bad with the scanning, it's more questionable, or maybe not questionable, but like it's interesting what this could be used for, especially in the context of AGI that is so vividly promoted on their website.
So I want to ask about the accuracy of your software, because gaming is cool and it's fine, but what about the real applications for different stuff? Because when it comes to like finance, banking, you cannot just do it with the biometrics. It's not enough, never. So I wanted to ask about the accuracy, and when do you think the biometrics will be good enough to really identify people for serious business, not only games?
Well, you know, biometrics only, we do it only for if you're a real person, if you're there present at the device, and if you're unique. We cannot really tell much more about you unless we connect to some kind of a database where we already verified your governmental identity document, right? And the exception being India, where actually they have a biometric scan of all of their citizens, over 1 billion data points, which is crazy and very exciting, possibly to work with that in the future. But our solution that is on DeFi currently is not compliant in the sense of KYC, particularly because we do not give you user's name or surname. So you don't know who this is. We just attest this user is not sanctioned, but we built the proprietary first in the world system of if we are subpoenaed by the US government or any other government where we open a subsidiary, we are able to prove via a zero knowledge proof that we actually did the anti-money laundering verification for that particular user. And this could become legal in the future. This is our vision of reality that's the closest to the truth. And our terms of service actually say that you are not doing KYC per se, you're doing an AML risk-adjusted approach to human verification. but it is in our roadmap to create full KYC for MiCA compliant wallets. But this is more of a business than a philosophical case really at this point. Essentially, I think your question is very valid, and this is the question we're answering, but the regulations will change in a couple of years, and we want to be at the forefront of it. And even if they don't match what we've built, we'll be well positioned to tweak it slightly, and hopefully this will be something similar to what we've built, or maybe somebody smarter will figure out something even better. Thank you.
Hi again. One of the main important feature of blockchain is that people can be anonymous. Why you want to change it? And generally, if I'm afraid that if we stop this feature and we will make the blockchain not anonymous, we will stop the growing of community of blockchain. You know?
I would disagree completely. So this is the biggest enabler of community growth on chain, and it does not stop anonymity. We're literally creating privacy preservation solutions for what has to happen. So if you look at the governments, do you think it is possible for people to just use some tokens on chain to do anything and settle physical payments in US dollar on chain with full anonymity? We are not trying to stop this. This is perfectly fine. We're building an opt-in layer for specialized use cases where you don't want to run the risk of mixing your funds with sanctioned individuals, where you want to use the blockchain for legitimate business, and also in the terms of facial biometrics verification, we're solving the problem of airdrop farmers and people who are trying to abuse the system, also without running a risk of sacrificing their privacy, because all of the data we store is deletable per request, and the only thing we share is a UUID string, which is non-verifiable and privacy preserving. So I think it's ill-advised to think that solutions which move, for example, uniqueness verification on-chain, to consider them a threat to privacy, because they're practically the opposite. They're enabling legitimate users to receive bigger rewards. They are enabling in-game economics and in general DeFi economics or DAO governance to be valid and useful, and more resistance against Sybil attacks or farming.
So do we have some more questions? So warm applause for Adam. So after that 2 workshops, we will have like about 1 hour of break. You will be also able to find some pizza for the lunch. So take your time, have a little bit more time for networking. You are able to talk about the presentation and of course more. And like I mentioned, during that 1 hour of break, we will have pizza. And pizza is from our partner. It's Neon Praga Pizza. It's one of the best pizza on this side of the Europe, so you can try it. And of course, it's provided by our partner Patrick from the CodeJet. You can also find the CodeJet there, play with the games and win some prizes. So take your time and see you soon about 3 o'clock. Thank you very much. ladies and gentlemen. So our break, it's now finished, and we will have 2 more workshops, and it will be awesome. So you need to be all here. I will need your attention, and for sure I will need more silence, because next guest will really need that to provide you all that phenomenal information. Okay, that's all. Okay, I will get you all like 2 minutes to gather all here a little bit more closer. The Degens on the back, you can join us here also. You're the part of the event, of course. We see you all through the glass, but we want to see you a little bit more closer here. And it's not only for the photos, of course. It's for all of us, like an integration. Yeah, we are here also for the networking. So, okay, let's go further, and I will just ask another guest from another great protocol and our partner. So, please give me the warm applause for Clement from Infinity. So, IPC. Warm applause.
Thank you. Hello, guys. This is Clement from Infinity Foundation, and I'm feeling the vibe that it's pretty chatty, so I'm not going to bother you with presentation. I would rather keep it a little bit more conversational. So, what I do at Infinity is we run special projects, which basically means running crazy ideas against the markets and seeing what sticks. And another pretty cool part is global adoption programs. So we are running community grants and ICP hubs. But the reason why I'm here today and what I'd like to chat with you about is about the multi-chain future and the perception that it is now. It's way, way closer than we might think it. So you guys been asking pretty good questions to the previous speaker, so I'll just throw it right here and see if this works for us as well. Who could raise hands here? Who is building on Ethereum? Okay, not as many as I would think. Then who is building on Solana? Right, more or less same people. Tazos? Nobody from Tazos. Cool, so why is that? Why is it that we have more builders in the Ethereum community than in Tazos community? So first one would be the obvious, the brand loyalty perspective. First mover advantage, like, hey, Ethereum introduced smart contracts the first, so I'm gonna stick with them. Or Solana, hey, they introduced zero gas fees, so I like that. I'm gonna be loyal to them. Despite the fact that 3 years later, there's many platforms that can offer you the same, I'm gonna stick with Solana just because I like the colors, you know? So then why is it, how can we expand beyond that and really build the products, the apps, businesses in Web3 that actually make sense and do not dry out because of the liquidity, right? So that's what we bring the conversation to, the multi-chain versus cross-chain, right? And anyone here is doing something in cross-chain or dealt with it? Nobody. Great, because it's painful, it's expensive, and it's insecure. So there's a lot of bridges that have been hacked, and we definitely don't want that, right, when you're building your product. So that brings us to another part of the story, which is multi-chain, which is basically the concept of, hey, how about we have different blockchains that work together without caring about a third party that might be breached and hacked, yeah? And when we talk about multi-chain, there's few players really that do something in that field, and please shout out the name if I forget any. So there is Cosmos. Have you guys heard of Cosmos? Any noise? Cosmos? Okay. Have you heard of Polkadot? Yay, more people heard of Polkadot. Great. So, and what is the difference between Cosmos vision for blockchain interoperability and Cosmos and Polkadot? Polkadot introduces the parachains. Love the guys, love the concept, but overly complicated. And Polkadot guys are really, really proud of it. It's complicated, but it's not for everybody. And for Cosmos, great, easier scalability, but then there's not much traction going on. And then there's a third player that, to the best of my knowledge, that there is in the market, which is ICP. If there's anything else, just tell me, because that's the best to my knowledge. So what is the vision of ICP? Instead of building the multi-chain future where there's just chains that work together within one ecosystem, we are seeing the future where one ecosystem can be talking to another ecosystem without caring much about security because it's integrated on a protocol level. And that's fundamentally that we are pushing for, and something that not easy, but we are on track that not many players can follow. So, multi-chain with ICP. So when I'm saying that not many players can follow is that not many people know, but actually ICP already enrolled the integration with Bitcoin. So as of now, earlier this year, we enrolled that, and as of now, on a protocol level, ICP can talk directly to the Bitcoin network without any bridges, smart contracts talking to the protocol, which is amazing because you could you could use the assets and suck the liquidity from Bitcoin network to another ecosystem. Forget about ICP, just use the concept of the one ecosystem using the assets of another ecosystem on a native level. That's great. So that is done. That's the track record. What else? Ethereum is coming up. 80% of the work is done. EVM is coming up in 2 weeks. So that would be the next thing. And the reason why it matters is this. Let's think about it. Why do we really need multi-chain? The doom and gloom scenario, and not a black swan kind of story, yeah? Global event, everyone is like in fear, and liquidity is second out. So is drying out, right? So then you spend like 2 years building a project on Avalanche, and now all of a sudden there's less liquidity. So what do? There's not much you can do. You either you either change the gears completely to different ecosystem and hope that it's not gonna dry out, or you're just hoping for the best. What is another scenario? Why do we need multi-chain really? Is for more aggressive growth. If you're an ambitious project and you're not just simply happy with one ecosystem, then you can tap into different ones, right? And that before was a like alien idea that you couldn't really do. So why do we care about what's the limiting factors of you growing your project? Let's say we started with Avalanche. Let's say you start building your product on Avalanche. The growth that is defined for your project is by the market liquidity, by the ecosystem liquidity, and by ecosystem active wallet users. Only much as that, right? So good luck bringing users from Solana to your Avalanche dApp. The acquisition cost is going to be just ridiculous. So this is exactly where the vision for multi-chain is crucial and can bring you some extra value. Then for the use cases, let's think what could be the use case. Any good use case for multi-chain or cross-chain solutions? Why do we want that in first place? Any thoughts? Scalability. Why do you need scalability for? Because it's what? Everything is expensive on Ethereum. Okay. So like what is kind of a product that you could build that could benefit out of having more users or more liquidity? Yeah. Basically any project, yeah? Like the most obvious fit would be DeFi because it's easier to grasp. It's like I'm taking the asset from Cosmos ecosystem and then bringing it to this ecosystem, and then I don't have to worry about bridging. Sounds great. Digital twins instead of the wrapped copies. What's the difference? Difference is as of now up until earlier this year, there was no solution to the problem of digital twins in one ecosystem. So let's say you want to have your ETH going faster, so then you wrap it, yeah? And you use wrapped ETH to transact with your folks. The problem with that is that there is a centralized entity that is involved in between you and your asset. So whenever you're giving your Bitcoin or Ethereum to somebody to get wrapped ETH, there's company in between that would hold on to your asset and give you the wrapped version of it, and you just have to trust that they're gonna be doing all right, yeah? So that's a problem. In our case, what we realized that actually we can pull off the native integration where there is pure technology, where there is no human intervention in between digital twins creation, right? So then there's Ethereum and there's CK Ethereum, chain key Ethereum, right? In our case, there's Bitcoin and chain key Bitcoin. And then you don't have to trust people, you just have to trust the code, which is a trustless idea behind Web3 to begin with. So that is pretty cool. But what's next? On top of that, you can build business models that have not been developed yet because we are so autistic in the way we build. If I'm building here, I belong to this camp, and I cannot hang out with the guys from Solana because they're against us, right? In this scenario, you could build more and expand more aggressively, which should be of a concern, which should be of a priority for the projects if we are talking about healthy development and not a bubble development. So then I'd like to just close it up with this simple comparison. Anyone heard of the concept of open economy? Yeah, we take it for granted because it happened like 100 years ago, yeah? But up until then, it was not a thing. Everyone was running their domestic economies and not much into trading. So you would be limited to the diplomatic relationship, the legal framework and law and the relationship and everything. And in 19th century, we got this concept of open economy, and it was only possible because there was a framework developed for such things. So then we started trading with each other and so on and so forth. So this is exactly what is happening right now. Up until now, there is no such open economy going on between the ecosystems in a secure way because the moment you start thinking about, oh, I'll bridge my assets, then there's inevitable risk involved. So no one's going to take you for like seriously the project with that mind of thinking. But this is what is happening right now. Multi-chain in crypto can be what open economy is to the global businesses back 100 years ago. Also, multi-chain is not a wish, but it's a prosperity need for projects to grow. So then developers are not in projects and products are not desperately jumping the ship when something happens within your initial ecosystem. So then, if we are saying that you're a developer, project, institution, or a degen, wouldn't it be great if we all can just join this movement and think about it like how can we be more open and more collaborative in the way we build. So then following the open source mentality, we just spread innovation instead of locking it up within the walls of this coding language or that ecosystem. So that would be pretty much it for me. That's all I wanted to share with you guys. I just wanted to have it in more of a conversational level because other folks have been sharing amazing presentations. And if you have any questions, I would be more than happy to take those. Meanwhile, let's see if the magic works. Magic works. A few stats on what is it in it for Ethereum guys to even like integrate it. So 100% on-chain Web3 storage is a nice feature to have. I'm not going to dive too deep into it because it's a little bit nerdy and maybe not for everybody. Gasless token swaps and extended DAO functionality. There was a brilliant talk like earlier today about DAOs and the legal framework for it. But if we think about it from the technical perspective, a lot of DAOs still, till this day, don't have the execution layer being on-chain. The voting is happening on-chain, but the actual execution is still happening manually with someone clicking the button. And that's still the dependency on people that we could eliminate if we just have such of a goal. So as I said, if you are into pushing the limits of the growth of your project or have crazy ideas, feel free to reach out. We are very keen to have constructive talks and shape the future together. Thank you. Any questions?
Okay, we have a question.
A very cool presentation. Actually, can you tell a little more about the bridge to Bitcoin? That actually you can somehow bridge the Bitcoin to ICP without a bridge. So you don't have, and the bridge to Ethereum is going to work the same way, that you can bridge without a bridge?
Yeah, so that's exactly the case. There is bridge without a bridge. We don't use that vocabulary because it's a native integration. Native integration meaning that the contracts, our smart contracts that we call canisters, they speak to the Bitcoin network directly. So they're not dependent on an input from centralized entity in between on what to interpret. In theory, anyone could have done that if they put a lot of, enough of R&D resources into it, but it just happened to be that we were in the right place with the right talent to pull it off. So effectively with Bitcoin right now, we have collaboration with if you guys know Lugano, like there's a little city in Switzerland, they're really pushy on Bitcoin and what it means to the economy. So they have app where you could use, every citizen could use the Bitcoin. So we got integration with them, and now they're using Bitcoin Twin on ICP, which is called CKBTC, to transact at stores and use it in daily life. So that is one of the use cases that we are having right now, and there is many more coming up. For Ethereum, we are just following the same track. But for Ethereum, what is really interesting is that it was 100% community driven, although it was on a roadmap for us for a long time. Then at some point, once we started getting some traction with Bitcoin, we had a community coming up from China and saying like, hey, here's the way how it could be done. So it's community effort and been going pretty good so far.
Thank you.
Thank you for the great presentation. So technically, your application can interact with an RPC node, right? It's not a node that you had to redevelop that is running as a canister, yeah? So it's a canister app that is communicating somehow with a Bitcoin node, and the same way it will communicate with it.
Yeah. So there is a canister smart contract just to let there be no confusion, in ICP smart contracts we call canisters. So there's a canister minter that could mint and participate in block validation. There's a canister that would be that is holding public keys, and that public keys decentralized across the subnet, across the network.
Mm-hmm. So what EVM chains are planned to support? It's not just Ethereum mainnet, yeah? Potentially maybe Polygon, Arbitrum, anything like this. No?
Yeah, so EVM is being built by the community members as well. They're calling it Bitfinity. Let's see if we could scroll it down here, or maybe later. So Bitfinity is pushing out the EVM in 2 weeks, and then I don't have much visibility on what are the future steps going to be like in terms of supporting L2s or something.
But it's not just to make wrap versions of tokens, right? It can communicate with arbitrary smart contract, between two.
That's the
worlds,
direction, yeah. That's the direction. As of now, we'd be really happy if by the end of the year we've reached a milestone of having really quality and no trouble integration with Ethereum, right? And that's pretty viable. And then early in next year, there should be definitely exploration for Arbitrum, Polygon, interoperability as well.
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
So can ICP send transactions to Bitcoin?
Yeah. So smart contract on ICP could participate in block validation and basically transacting on behalf. So you can code it that this smart contract can transact with Bitcoin, and there's no need for a person to actually click it.
So you can store a private key in your ICP?
That's what's happening, yeah. So private keys are held in a decentralized manner.
Okay. Okay, thanks.
Cool. If there is no further questions, I would call it a day.
Warm applause for Clement.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, now our last speech, our last workshop will be held online, and it will be.
Do you hear us?
And it will
Yep.
be the global
us,
developer lead from the Polygon. So, but we need to wait a little minute. I don't know how many, but let's give them a little bit more time because he's connecting, I think, from India right now. So we will hear the fresh information, what's happening in the global developer community from the head of the Polygon.
Yeah, and show us, okay, if you hear us.
Hi folks, I'm not able to see your faces, but my name is Saksham. I work at Polygon, and it's been a long journey with Polygon. So I'm into the dev team where I'm been the one who has been in touch with Poststars, Lucas, and managing the guilds program and the dev ecosystem there at Polygon. And today, it's fine. We can keep it interactive and then have few questions at the end. But then I want to share the thoughts on ZKVM and Polygon 2.0 on major stuff, which is like, I know most of you must be knowing it on a brief level, and then this is mostly on a beginner side, but then idea is that we have everybody understand what's happening currently with Polygon on different chains. But okay, so Let me just share my screen. Give me a second, and then. Okay. Just let me know if my screen is visible. Okay, I believe it should be visible now. Lucas, is it visible? Is my screen visible? No, yeah, I think I'm able to see it. Okay. So first of all, welcome all of you being there on evening, and then it's too hot here, but hopefully it's not too there in Poland. But yeah, we can get started. So GM Poland, very great to be feel better to have been here. And then before start, I'll personally say like how Steven Barman is chanting like developers, 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 and then we are developers, builders, and then the ecosystem. And a little bit about me is like I've already introduced, but like I'm into like at Polygon as a developer and program manager, and then I have a community name as Hack the League, as well as being into the dev ecosystem from last 4 years. And then I think we can start the journey where Polygon started in 2018 in East India, and then now one of the largest ecosystem chains in Web3 ecosystem. But so the idea is like we have the POS there, which helped us started the game, and then now it's a ZK pivot, and then the 2.0. So I think we will discuss these three major points. And to share you the journey, how Polygon, I know this is like something way back in 2017 where Matic Foundation was being built by Sandeep, JD, and like the other folks. And then we had in 2020, which was the major era where you must be seeing all of the stuff happening with POS chain and the mainnet notch with some 100K plus dApps as of 2023. And then it's like one of the best thing. So now, like what happened in 21 is like the new vision came, new brand, when we rebranded it from Matic to Polygon. You must be seeing Matic Mumbai and all everywhere if you've been deploying on Polygon. And then after that, in February 2022, we had fundraising from VC, Sequoia Capital, SoftBank. Uh, and then after that, the journey changes. We had new use case, Polygon blockchain, so that we have a great partnership being done. We have then institutional support in this year, quarter one, and then now the 2.0 vision. It's very important 2.0 because it's not something we will do in like just 3 months and then it's done. It's mostly a long 2 year, 3 year plan, which will be evaluated based on time to time. So that's all. So majorly, we can start with the three major layers where the POS is the game changer for the industry, like not even this Polygon. And then the idea is that just like yeah, so idea is like we founded in 2017, and then we had a Ethereum Polygon layer two, so of course a mass adoption on Ethereum ecosystem, and then we had a POS, ZKNets, Maiden, ZKVM. So like under the Polygon umbrella, we had different products which I'll share maybe later on in the 2.0 vision. But then it's mostly the idea was to lower down the average transaction cost, which was less than even like 10 cents. And then we had like fast operating system because the reason is like we had a limited number of transactions in Ethereum. So that was the idea. And you can see the numbers, basically the total addresses and like total transactions, which again it's not major, but then mostly to give you an idea. And where POS gives us a massive popularity. The reason why is it's easy, adoptable, and then it's pretty easy to simulate. And then of course the transaction cost. So ideally in the global ecosystem, everybody thinks to pay $37 for a transaction, but then when it was like a fraction of a dollar, people just used to do different things, and that leads to of course, a lot of very great projects in Polygon ecosystem. And just to mention, like the POS achieved like a great transaction speed, and then the cost saving of transaction processing during decentralized network, like to proof of stake. So the idea was proof of stake validators network, and then it's on Ethereum decentralized security, like ensuring that you create the app on like to masses and the power of decentralization. So, like, here's a quick glimpse before I start and come to the major part, which is ZK. Is like how the PD team has been doing some great partnership with few of the great folks across the globe. So you must be seeing all the big brands: Nike, Disney, Starbucks, Roots, Salesforce, Flipkart. I don't know if you know Flipkart; it's an Indian brand, Swana, Google. So these all have been done mostly after 2021 to after the fundraising, and then we had these Sandbox and all brands, Aave. And just to mention few of the very bigger ones, which was like Starbucks had a reward customization customer on chain with 60 million plus rewards. And then we had the youths one. Most of you must be remembering like the youth, like they bridged over Polygon, and then having a new NFT fever. And then of course the Reddit one. Reddit is a great product for a frank, but yeah, like they've onboarded 11 plus million users to Web3, which is a very big number in the Web3 ecosystem where we don't see on the top of the layer, but then it's a very big contribution. So on the way to the top, with a lot of tabs, and here are some of the remarkable points I would like to share, like with the numbers. And that's all. I'll just quickly, will not take much of time and come up to the major part, which is so the backstory which I was telling you is like Polygon committed $1 billion towards the ZK technology. So what happened was these resulted in acquisition of few of the companies, which is Maiden, Hermes, and then Mill Protocol. And then Mill Protocol was founded by Brandon and then Daniel, which is like what highly scalable. Whatever you see is like because of these few acquisition, and then acquisition of Hermes, like it must be named Jordi, Anthony, and David Schwartz. So these are the first people across the ecosystem, like they're the first to complete the merger of one of the blockchain networks into another. And then Maiden, of course, it's something you must have not heard, but then this would be a great product where nowadays they brought the ZKVM compatibility, where it's again a very big discussion, but here we started, and then now I'll come to the major part, which is like why are we talking about ZKVM and all. So basically Polygon ZKVM is a ZK scaling solution which is equivalent to Ethereum virtual machine. So you can consider it's a similar experience to what you do on Ethereum, and it's like majority on existing smart contracts. If you're creating a developer tooling or a wallet, it works very easily, like very seamless, like how Ethereum works. And then so Polygon ZKVM, what that does it's used the power of ZK proofs to reduce the transaction cost and increase the throughput, which maintain the inheritability and then security of L1. So basically what happened is that maybe in the later of diagrams, I'll give you an idea. We have Ethereum, and over that we have ZKVM. So it's mostly like it's a seamless experience on ZKVM. And then idea is like just to mention like here it's like Polygon ZKVM scales Ethereum. It's not related to Polygon POS, so it's not connected to POS. It's directly through Polygon. ZKVM is directly related to ETH, and then it's not the POS framework which we there. And then like what is the mainnet beta? So back in April, we like March 27th to be exact, we launched the mainnet beta very recently. And then what happened through that is that allows developers to deploy their dApps on mainnet beta chain. How this help is like it was help user to connect the mainnet in a permissionless way to bridge the funds. So it's very I'll say the game changer for the industry. And then and why we had the mainnet feature, because it's already ready, but then it's still under few of the major stuff where we had potentially have some bugs and all, which is something it's not resolved, and then it's like run over censorship. So that was the reason. But like when we say like we talk about ZKVM and all that, I know these are some basic stuff we must be knowing and all, but like what are like ZK knowledge? So basically, ZK knowledge is like the proof to validate a statement without revealing the statement. It's most on the security part where we can communicate the state of transaction and then the context of blockchain on ZK-EVM solutions, which can be in any EVM solution. And then the roll-up is again a concept of ZK-EVM, and it's a ZK technology. It's a product of ZK-EVM, but then like roll-up would you can consider that like a layer 2 scaling solution that increase throughput on Ethereum mainnet, which I mentioned before, by like moving the computation and state of layer 2. So if you just see the map, we have ETH and then we have aggregators, sequencers, and what's happening is they bridge it to roll up and then directly to ETH. The POS thing is not there, and then we have the ZK where we have it's a user bridge, and then again there's another user bridge, and then we like roll up it to the ETH layer 1, and then some of the minimal data is sent to the Ethereum mainnet, not the all transaction and all. And if I say like what is ZK EVM rollup, so it's a type of ZK rollup that designed to have the same transaction execution environment as Ethereum. So there's if you just try to do, I'll maybe show you the faucet and all where you can directly have those stuff. Maybe tried at maybe later this weekend, but then like how the implementation of ZKVM differs is that the algorithm behind that is like the data availability strategy, and then the ZKVM also differs in the level of EVM equivalence, and then there are 4 major levels, which is like basically if you just see like we had the multiple transactions which will go to ZKVM, and then through bridge and validity proof it will go to Ethereum as a layer 1. So how that's how it follows the way, and I'll say there are few benefits and then features, which is security. Of course, I've been telling in the whole presentation, because it follows ZK proof and then the inherited security of data availability, and of course the scalability. So when we say scalability, we can do n number of transactions per minute, per second, and then like it allowed dApps to have scalability horizontally, and then maybe in the later stage when they become unlock higher performance and cost. Of course, it's a down cost for dApps for leading adoption and then equivalence. But there are a few things on that. So majorly, I'll say the Web3 ecosystem. This is the major Web3 ecosystem. Like what we've been seeing it from last 2-3 years is just like the start of it, and then that's how it's been there. And ideally, it considers to be takes some of the time, like 7 to 30 minutes it takes, but then it's still is being optimized. So that's all. But then sure, the industry use case you must be seeing it. So banking sector, which is the Vostras I was talking, he's been in there, and then we had the gaming is a very big market, Southeast Asia. If we had the energy infrastructure, and then the healthcare. Healthcare, to be frank, is like the next booming thing which will come in the Web3 ecosystem. I'll not say Polygon, ZKVM, and then whatever we say on the DeFi supply chain on the backend analytics part, these are the major use case. And now coming like, so basically maybe later on we can have some questions, but now when I talk about POS, I talk about ZKVM. Now, what is the best part is like we have the Polygon 2.0 strategy there. And just to give you an idea, this is the plan which I was mentioning you. It's like we have the chain architecture, and then the public and dedicated servers. So, and then the dApp tooling kit. So now we have the POS, which everybody knows is like the vital play between each without the fees and friction. So POS will still be there and then still be in the major part. And then if I talk about the other public servers, we have Maiden, we have Zero, and ZKVM. Now consider ZKVM, we have public beta launch. Maiden and Zero would be the next gen stuff for the ZK proof. Like these all three would be a complete package. And Supernets is different. These would be on a dedicated server. I'll explain you Supernet stuff on a later map, but then it's ideally you can create your own chain and build a Web3 ecosystem without like having all that hassle. Like even if you are thinking, or maybe Supernets is that easy, and then now the user tooling part, we have Polygon ID, which is again many of the Web3 ecosystem people are using it to have Web3 identity as a considered as a driver license for a new internet. Yeah, that's a very easy example. And then the enterprise solution for sure. Okay, so yeah, that's what I was mentioning. So we had those public chain where ZK EVM, we have POS, and then these would be the supernet chains where we have n number of chains which would be privately, and then there would be a layer between Ethereum and then server through which all the transaction will happen. So this is the Polygon infrastructure we are thinking on the architectural level, and then the protocol vision for 2.0 is ideally we have to like when we go to back 2018, it's again same the liquidity and the scalability where we can allow anyone to create an exchange information on a value layer, like which is the fundamental stuff where we can create exchange and like drive those stuff, which is like creating dApps, creating users, and then the transaction part, of course. Okay, so you see, like there would be change in POS where we have a ZK upgrade, which is very soon, where we have the validatum and then the powered by Zero Knowledge Tech, where we'll have some new stuff. And then ideally, I'm not really sure, but November we will have a new upgrade on POS coming very soon, where we'll like upgrade POS to the Validum and then compatible with the ZK bridges, unified across Polygon chains. Yeah, that's all. So, yeah, I just want to say like it's something very great, and then you will see great stuff coming up to the Polygon umbrella, and then how we think for us is like we have more developers like you sitting here, we have more devs, more adoption. So, yeah. And then I just want to maybe share, we have like for any of your queries, even later on ZKVM, POS, or anything across Polygon dev ecosystem you are feeling, or you maybe need some suggestion. We have like here is the ecosystem we have across the globe, and then here is the QR code. The slide is not updated, but just maybe I'll send you the link to Watchstar so that we can share you on the screen. But then we have a dev Discord, and you can come there anytime, ask any question, and we do sessions and all. So yeah, that's all. Thank you. And just one more thing. So anybody who just tweet about this session, maybe share few of the knowledge points, what they have understood. Tag me, which is you can take a photo, which is Saksham Triveda 00, tag Polygon devs, and then maybe tag Polygon Guild Warsaw account. And I would be having 2 people getting a lens ID and a .polygon unstoppable domain to both of those people. So ideally, the number of tweets I get, based on that, I can, if you tag me, I can directly DM you I can take your wallet address and get those sorted. So yeah, that's all. Just take a picture, or it's Saksham Triveda 00, and just share whatever you learned in the whole event. It's not just my session. It can be anything, or it can just be taking a picture with somebody and sharing his insight, or it can be anything. But you need to tag me, Saksham Triveda, tag Polygon devs, and then if you have a account, Twitter account for Guild also, just tag them as well. So, and then based on that, 2 people, I can have them a lens ID and a .polygon unstoppable domain to both of those folks. So, okay. Oh, yeah. So that's all. Maybe if you have any queries, you can join the Polygon Discord server, and then I'm open for any time. Let me know if you need anything support from my end. If you need anything support for the community, Lucas and those stars, just let me know.
Do we have some questions? Maybe. Questions from the crowd? Yeah, you see, the presentation was so clear that we, for now, have all the information that we need.
Yes, but just to mention, like, it's fine if you have no question. I know just one thing I forgot to mention, which I mentioned in your talk. Maybe, can I take 1 more minute, Lucas?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. So, just a second. Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, here we go. If you search faucet.polygon.technologies, anything if you want to test, maybe this is the go-to key for you. Where ideally you will see a pop-up and you can directly join the dev Discord from here. Else, I'll share him the link to watch us. But for now, what you can do is, so if you need, for example, a test token for zkEVM, just add your LF from MetaMask and then just paste it here so that you can get those tokens. Else, if you even need for POS as well or Goldie, if you need, you can directly take it from here. Why I just want to mention is you can easily get it. You can anyway search, but then this will help you maybe if you are trying out something. Just try out Bridge from Polygon to EVM or zkEVM. Maybe help you understand more on that. But yeah, just maybe try it out whenever you have time, and then this is something maybe for you. Or let me know if you need any help. Just join the Discord. I'll be there to support. And thank you so much, Lucas and Watchstars, for inviting me there.
Sorry, we have some technical issue here with the voice. Can you please repeat? Yeah. It's okay?
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay. So there is no more question, yeah? Thank you very much for your time, for that presentation. Warm applause. So, see you soon.
Okay,
See you
yeah,
soon.
sure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yes, it's worth to mention that we also at the Degen House have a cooperation with the Polygon, of course, like you are able to see. And we also started the Polygon Guild here in Warsaw and in general in Poland. So every inquiry, every topic that you had right now according to development or any different stuff, you can just contact us or directly with Shengdam. It's also not a problem. But in general, we want to create that group will be working under the one umbrella on the behalf of the expanding the Polygon technology opportunities together. So if you will have, like you was able to see also on the presentation, when you will have some needs, we have a group on the Telegram, we are on the Twitter. So if you will be interested in more action, more according to the Polygon, we will be organizing that more under the guild operational. So this was the last presentation. It was also very nice because I know that many of us was working or already working on a Polygon. So right now I want to thank all of you to join us, and of course our speakers to get the time to get to us, because some of them was really early for this event here in Warsaw right now in this weekend. So warm applause once again for everybody, and have a very nice evening and networking, and let's use a little bit more sun. Thank you very much.